was built to last. With the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past. With all I'm achieving, got my foot on the gas. Never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout, and fame.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the 54 Yards. I know it has been a long time since you last saw me and the boy Carlos on camera. This has been a while, actually, too, since we've done it in person. I think we're going to try to do more in-person content like this for you guys as well. The quality is better. We know you guys like it. And, you know, we have like a nice little setup, too, in my room. We're able to put the notes on the TV in front of us, kind of see what we're looking at. And it feels like, you know, as studio-esque as it could be, right? So thank you guys if you're here. If you're new here, please like, comment, and subscribe. And comment below, too, who your college football team is. I know we have a lot of Texas fans and, you know, hopefully some Oklahoma fans that watch this podcast. But, yeah, if you're a fan of someone else, let us know. We'd like to, you know, see who's in our community and see if we can kind of talk about your team a little bit more and do some more in-depth topics on some of you guys' teams. But, last time we had an episode, unfortunately, we didn't do any national championship previews or recaps or anything like that. So if you guys don't know, Ohio State ended up winning the national title this season. Ryan Day and co ended up pitting on a phenomenal season in the playoffs. Will Howard had a great campaign in the playoffs, and they ended up closing it out and winning the national title. But now we fast forward to today. If your draft prep's going on, there's a ton of stuff going on in spring football, and we're going to start trying to cover more of these topics leading up into the season and some of the news and things like that. But Carlos, I wanted to start it off with Texas. Just talk to me about how you felt at the end of that last game and kind of your thoughts on the season in that regard. And then I have another question for you after you answer that.
How I felt after that game was dead. Depleted, deflated, back-to-back years.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're right there again.
Yeah.
Back-to-back years in the end zone, in the red zone, 10-yard line maybe. I don't remember what it was in
close.
Washington.
It was close,
but
yeah.
like back-to-back years.
Yeah,
just like that. And if for his hand like that, anything I felt.
I know you were upset.
Oh, I sat on the couch with a blank face for like 20 minutes after the game. I'm just like,
no, why? Like, why us?
I actually leaned back and I was just like,
yeah.
And I didn't move.
Yeah.
And then I went to the bed and just threw the blanket over my head. But yeah, I mean, it definitely sucked, but as much as it sucks to lose, you'll definitely you'll pick your team to be in those decisions more often than not. Like, you're obviously going to want your team in that moment in time because you're in push for the national championship and you're in the playoffs and you're playing against a great team. So like, obviously you want your team in that position.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want them to win. But
no doubt,
it didn't go that way for back-to-back years. But you know, it shows that we're kind of where we're at hopefully we're as a program that we're building back to that stage where we just contend year in and year out.
Yeah,
that may not be always going to the championship or the semifinal, but at least making the playoff and getting a position to like make that run. Yeah. So that's always the goal. So
you always want to be in the dance too. Like, I feel like, you know, if you're a fan of a blue blood program, you expect to, you know, at least make the playoffs or be a bubble playoff team every year. Obviously, as these conferences have gotten way more deeper and stronger, it's going to be a challenge to go undefeated every year. For example, Texas lost 2 games this year to the same team, still made it to the playoffs, still went to the semifinal. Ohio State lost 2 games in the regular season, won the national title. So as long as you're getting in the dance, you have a shot, you have a chance. And I think that's just kind of all you expect. And then once you get in there, anything can happen. Upsets are going to happen. I don't know if we talked about it enough, but I think the seeding does need to change regarding to the conference title champion or the conference champions getting an automatic bye. I think it should be
definitely needs to be restructured.
It should be like I think that should be, if you win the conference, you get in the playoff no matter what, obviously. But I don't think you should get, because not all champions are equal. Talent wise, like obviously, yes, Arizona State played a hell of a game against y'all, a lot more competitive than everyone thought,
especially after the first quarter.
I thought y'all were gonna blow them out, and then sure enough, that wasn't the case, right? But I look at the playoff structure, and I really do think they need to change it in that regard. And for example, it just needs to be the 4 best teams in college football. One of those teams was y'all, in my opinion. Y'all had 2 losses, but
it was us, Ohio State, Oregon.
I think it was
Notre Dame,
Georgia. They won SEC. I'd probably.
It's just hard because of the same thing that happened with Florida State. Like their starting quarterback is out. You don't know what that backup.
Yeah, that's fair. If you're ranking it off of like, see, and that's the gray area, because it's like you can rank it off a resume, and then you can also rank it off of like what's going on.
Because like people like talking about, I guess like when we had a backup and like, oh, they're still ranked high, but like you have to look at like who the backup is, like we have. I mean, we'll get in. I will get into this later, but we had Arch Manning, who was supposed to be the next, mega football player, no matter if he's at Texas or not, just be the next guy in general of college football as our backup quarterback. So when you're the committee or you're America or ESPN or whatever, you're not going to think Texas is out the picture.
Yeah.
If anything, you're going to think they're more in the picture.
100%.
So you also have to look at like who the backup is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I look at that too, and it's just the teams are. You got to just rank it off of like what's going on. Like Indiana, I think they should have made the playoff, right? But they went 11-1 and didn't really play anyone challenging on their schedule, as opposed to a team like South Carolina, for example, who finished the season one of the hottest teams in the sport, having multiple top 15 wins in that last stretch of games, and also was playing great football, and they were in a hard conference. And then you look at their losses: lost to LSU on a bad call, loses to Alabama on the road by like 2 points. And then I think the other loss was not a great loss. They got kind of blown out at home against Ole Miss, but that was still another fringe playoff team that was 9-3, right? So it's like you look at like resumes and stuff like that, and then like caliber of player. Lenore
that was
Sellers.
right after Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, right?
Yes, I think Ole Miss went. Yeah, because they went there and
they
then
went to South Carolina and beat them, and that was right after they lost to Kentucky.
Yeah, so like, it's a tough spot, and I think they're gonna readdress it. I mean, it's been a long time since we've recorded, but they've even mentioned in the near future that it's probably expanding to 14 at the minimum, but they're probably gonna go to 16, which is something me and you both said, just to kind of be an even number. And it's going to come down also to the SEC and Big Ten. How many guaranteed spots are they going to get? They're saying both of those conferences, if they go to 16, are going to be promised at least 8 spots, at least half of the field. 4 teams that from each conference every year, no matter what, which I believe should happen, because these are the best conferences in the sport, top to bottom. If you look at the SEC this year, who are the top 4? Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and then who else? Alabama or Ole Miss, South Carolina. They're kind of like all
the
right
fourth
there. They're all
was
9-3.
Definitely
off of rankings. It was Alabama, I think.
No, I think off of rankings it was Ole Miss
or South Carolina.
Or South Carolina, sorry.
Yeah, South Carolina, because because Alabama had that bad loss to us
at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I think regardless, you still look at all those teams, right? Like I'm not saying Ole Miss can't go into the playoff and beat any of the teams in there. They could, I think they would have played everyone pretty well for the most part. I think South Carolina, I don't know, they're more of a question mark, but they were playing hot, and they played the team Clemson, who made the playoffs and beat them on the road. And Clemson played Texas pretty good for the most part in their playoff game. So it's like you look at stuff like that, right? It kind of just shows that these are the premier conferences. Now, if we were to go over to the Big Ten, you had Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, who all made the playoffs. So that's already 3 teams. Oh, and Indiana. So they had 4 teams make the playoff. So, that makes sense. And then if you look at the rest, there really wasn't another contender this year in the Big Ten that would have pushed for that 5th spot, I guess. But I think they're planning on doing that, and I think it'll be good for the sport. More football is good. But I think they got to solidify the buys, and I think they got to solidify the seeding if they're going to go to 16 teams. And also, too, last thing I'll say is if they go to 16 teams, I would like for them to add another like group of 5 spot, like just
tough,
2,
man.
But then again, it's like
It's not basketball. It's not baseball.
how many teams realistically in the group of 5 outside of one team that has, there's always gonna be one team every year in the group of 5 that has a really good season that should get a chance. But at the end of the day, like they're not gonna have a chance.
Nobody wants to see that. The only reason people want to see Boise State because they want to see Genty. How often is Genty not Genty, but like a player like Genty gonna pop up in a group of 5 team?
Well, you do have some group of 5 teams that are like kind of mainstays, kind of like a Boise State, for example, that are
but
known to beat teams and things like that.
They're not gonna be.
But
when it comes to playoff time, they're not gonna beat anybody in the playoffs.
And that's the thing. Like they could. It depends on who it is.
No, they cannot.
I would say out of the two premier conferences, no. But I would say in the ACC or Big 12, if they get a favorable matchup, they would have a shot.
The only team they would have beat in the playoff this year is probably SMU.
And maybe. Because, I mean.
That's what I said, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's what I said. Nobody's going to. I don't know.
Boise State had a bye.
Yeah, because they
had a bye. Because people. And that's the thing. It's like.
Because they were the higher ranked than.
They're higher ranked than.
ACC in the Big 12.
Yes, correct. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if they would have played one of those teams, I think they could have matched up. Well, Arizona State had a bye too because they won the conference. They won the Big 12.
So they're higher than the
ACC. Yeah, because no ACC team. They both went on the road. SMU and Clemson. Clemson won the ACC and they still went on the road to play Texas.
They might have beat.
And Clemson had to win the ACC.
Arizona State, maybe.
I don't know.
That's just gonna be a running back duel. Yeah, at that point.
Well, the thing is, they were doing all right against Penn State, but there's a point in time.
Like if he was able to run against us, he's definitely going to be able to run against them.
Yeah, but like Genty had 100 yards on Penn State. Like he probably gets.
But he had like 33 carries. I hope he get 100 yards for 33 carries.
For sure, but like regardless, like I'm saying, like I think he would have been fine against other teams. It's just about the matchups. Like I'm not saying like
he wouldn't have done. He wouldn't have done fine against Georgia. He wouldn't have done fine against Notre Dame. He wouldn't have done fine against Ohio State.
You're naming
he wouldn't have done fine against Texas. So
you're naming like SEC or Notre Dame, basically.
But like if you're that seed
or Big Ten,
if you're that seed, that's the type of paper you're going to play. He wouldn't have fun against. He wouldn't have done that against Tennessee. So if you're that low of a seed, that's who you're going to be playing. So
well,
like,
I'm just saying, like hypothetically, if there's a team that's in the group of 5, they go undefeated.
And I gave Genty a lot of crap last year, but it's not necessarily his fault because the linemen also aren't fit to go up against those caliber players.
No, and
like imagine somebody from Boise State going against Abdul Carter.
Yeah, just the offensive line is getting wrecked. I mean, even against anybody, Jack Sawyer and TJ, whatever his name is, the other defensive end at Ohio State, Georgia, the guys they got Texas, Colin Simmons, like Anthony Hill in the front seven, like you're not gonna be able to hold up against players of that caliber. So, but that's just who they were playing. That's why I said nobody's gonna want to see that.
And like I said, how often is that gonna happen? Not very.
I agree.
Like a Genty S type player, not very.
So I had another question for you about Texas. Obviously, spring football started. What are some of your question marks for Texas this season?
I mean, I think I'm one of the rare fans that has a rare question, but really just the quarterback. We've seen him play, but like it's different when it's a full season, or it's different when it's
different when teams can
Alabama,
prepare for you.
You got to go to Florida, you got to go to Georgia, you know.
Yeah, like you're on the scouting report, and they're focusing on you, not like if you're coming in, you know.
So definitely that. Obviously he's a Manning, so I'm gonna assume that he's prepped for the big moment, prepped for the lights. Prepped for the stage, prepped for the publicity and all that. But that's like what I worry about. Like, he's already the Heisman favorite. Mm-hmm. He's barely played any football. I mean, he's played full games, but those full games were against nobodies. Yeah, you know.
And I don't, not even like hating. I do think, like, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be great. He's sat an assistant for 2 years. He's a Manning. He was the #1 overall recruit. He's being coached by Sarkisian, who's one of the best minds in college football offensively. But at the end of the day, you still have to play. You still have to produce.
Exactly.
And something that, which I don't know if you're going to get into, and obviously y'all have recruited extremely well, but you still are replacing a lot of receivers, right? Like you had Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, but I think for
But y'all
us,
didn't even get a portal guy last year. Y'all
no,
did.
we did. We didn't. But I think for us, we're at the stage where I think we're just reload. Now we are reloading instead of trying to rebuild. I think
Yeah, for sure.
For us now, we are at the reloading stage.
Because you did get
so
Jamie
even
French and Khalil
even though
Lockett.
we didn't get anybody in the portal. I mean, look at the people that we brought in.
Yeah.
And then you got oh boy who's stepping up, looking like wide receiver one. The white boy, I can't remember his
Parker
name.
Livingston.
Yes.
You got him. You got DeAndre Moore, who was productive last year. You have Ryan Wingo still. So you still have like a lot
And those
of depth.
two of those guys
Yeah.
were in the system already, and they
They
played a lot.
were starting basically.
Yeah, so
You know?
like
Wingo basically took Bond's job.
yeah,
later
after
on,
he got hurt.
and
Yeah,
then
and
DeAndre Moore is
you
the
already
slot
saw
guy.
what he was able to do and the type of speed that he has.
Yeah.
So like now that you get to cater your offense towards him even more now,
Yeah.
because Golden's gone and that was kind of your guy. Like it's just gonna. I don't think we have a problem at running back, offensive line, or receiving.
I do
don't
think
we
offensive
have-
line is an issue because you are
I mean,
replacing.
that's what you said
No, it
2
was.
seasons ago going into this season.
It wasn't like this. Y'all are replacing the
see.
whole starting line. And
Y'all have done it before, and y'all were just fine.
We have.
It
I'm not
just-
saying
I know,
we're not-
but I'm just
yeah.
saying I don't think
It's gonna
with
be
the coaching
you
staff
will
that we
you will
currently
have growing
have.
pains.
We will for sure have
because y'all
growing
were
pains.
struggling
but
to
even
run
then,
the ball with
but even then,
an experienced offensive line. in
even
games.
then, when someone got hurt, the
Yeah.
next guy stepped up and he did very well.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't play the whole season.
Yeah.
So that right there just shows me A, what kind of development they're getting now, and B, okay, the future just kind of looks promising
Yeah.
because they're getting developed and it's the next man up mentality.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been at running back, and that's what it's been at
For sure.
receiver. And that's what it was at quarterback.
sure.
So I'm not really worried about any position really.
I do
It's
think
just-
in the SEC though, with a
it's
young
just-
line, you just have to see it.
yeah, but luckily for us,
Until you see it, it's kind of
luckily for us, the hard part of our schedule, quote unquote, isn't until the later into the season.
like it's basically like.
I mean, we go to Georgia early.
Florida. No, y'all play them later. Y'all got Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
then,
yeah.
Then it's kind of whatever, and then you guys play Florida in the swamp, then Red River, then it kind of ramps up.
Yeah,
For y'all.
I forgot it's like flipped.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's like we flipped. Like what I'm trying to say is we play Georgia early this year, but next year we play them later in the schedule and
Yeah.
also there. But like we
and then
flip
you
our
play
schedule.
Florida.
Yeah,
I think
early.
Florida is y'all's.
Florida
Is that
early.
y'all first SEC game? Florida
I think
or second?
so.
It got to be at
I
least
think
the second.
no, because y'all are a second.
Oh, so it is the first one.
I think it's the first one.
Damn. So that'll be that's a test. Like this is
Yeah.
a team. That's a team that's
But
been
like-
recruited well and they have a good QB.
But like that's
on
like
the road. But you already been.
that's a
tested.
game that you kind of should win.
You should win, but it's definitely a trap game. Like
For sure.
they're gonna be. Florida should be a lot
But
better.
I think,
and then y'all play them
but
before us.
I don't think that. Just from what I've seen with Sark, I don't think that we have many trap games because I think he does a great job of preparing them week to week.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a new team. We
It-
got
It is
y'all,
a new team.
y'all. I think,
but
on
we also
paper-
have a new leader, and he seems to be
Yeah.
a very good. Not saying Quinn was a bad leader, but it seems to be like
Yeah.
even when you saw him on the sidelines, it looks like people go to him and like they know like all right, that's our guy.
I think on paper too, y'all are very like I think the ceiling on paper is higher, but y'all are just way younger. So I think like that's kind of like the bridge.
That's a good thing, though,
Bridge
in
point.
my
No,
opinion.
for sure. Like y'all are a team that I would expect, in my opinion, to make the playoff this year and to be primed and ready the following year, especially if Arch decides to play 2 seasons in college to really push for that national title. I think this year you will have some growing pains, mainly in the trenches, because it's just what happens with young offensive lines in the SEC and their struggles. I'm not going to say they're going to lose or be bad by any means, but I think that would be what will hold y'all back ultimately for winning it all. Now, I could be wrong. This year is kind of up for grabs. There's really no like dominant team or team that I think is going to be like pencil them in for the natty. Like I don't think, and obviously injuries and stuff like that occur, but I think everyone's kind of equal this year that are contenders for the most part.
It was. I mean, yeah. I mean, thinking about it, I kind of.
Like the only team you could really say is like Penn State because they returned Drew Aller and both running backs, and like things like that. But you know what?
There's only one other team.
LSU too.
Nope.
Who?
Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson as well. They look good. They return their QB.
Yep. All the offense
LSU returns their QB,
except for
and they
the
return
running
a lot
back.
of
Well,
their
it's from
defensive
off of
players.
these series going.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, but I mean they still got the receivers.
But like they were freshmen last
yeah.
year.
That's another team that you could probably pencil into.
Then like Ohio State, they're like Texas basically. Similar situation. Lost a lot of guys, but uber talented. Georgia replacing
with
a
Oregon.
QB. Oregon replacing a QB
and wide receivers.
But they're like y'all recruit well, uber talented. Notre Dame has both running backs, but like who's the QB there? You know, it's like so you kind of have, you know, questions and things like that. But I don't know. I mean even us, like we upgraded, right? We got a QB. We returned all our offensive line,
maybe
most of our defense. No, ain't no maybe. We definitely upgraded at quarterback.
Maybe. What
he
before
led the country
before
in
hold on. Before last season, you're all up on Jay.
I was.
So like you don't know if you upgraded or not.
I'll tell you why I know the difference. Because last year I had to have positive optimism. But last year the spring reports and other reports were he was turning the ball over. He was struggling against the defense. In my opinion, I'm like, oh, well, our defense is like that. So maybe he's just struggling because he's young and, you know, whatever. But as the season progressed, that actually was the case. And he was turning the ball over. He was careless with the football. And the OC was just a joke. Let's call it what it was. He was not good.
But you also didn't think that either.
No, I agree.
Until the season started.
Yeah, because it's like on paper, he has a track record of being okay. Yeah, he has he's produced good offenses. So, you know, and a lot of that, I think they were saying he was trying to merge his system with Levy's system. So like that was some disconnect there. We had a ton of injuries. Like I've never seen injuries like that ever in the history of my life, especially at one position unit. It's like the whole team isn't hurt. You got one position unit that are all hurt. And then, you know, so I think, like I said, just to say all that, I think we did upgrade. We got Arbuckle, who was a proven QB guru, Bailey Zapp, Cam Ward, and now Mateer, who led the country, granted group of 5. He still had 44
and that's also what I was going to say. That's why I said maybe. I'm not trying to
but
hate.
He's also
it's just you're literally going from a group of 5 to the best defensive units in college football.
Yeah, but I look at it like he's also upgrading with who he's playing with. Like he's going from playing with like guys that
but he's also. I think that's fine, but it's also a big difference when you upgrade who you're playing against.
It's also different too because Arbuckle's system hasn't been seen in the SEC yet. So there's going to be he could have an advantage. He could struggle. Yeah. I don't think he's going to struggle because I do think he is a good offensive coordinator from what I've seen. But it is the SEC. You can't beat teams every week the same week or same way. We tried to beat LSU last year the way we beat Alabama.
And you couldn't do it.
And LSU adjusted because teams at this level have the coaches and the players to shut down what you did last week. It's like the NFL. You literally have to game plan every week. Maybe this week your running back gets 150 yards. Maybe the next week your QB has to throw for 450. Like you have to be able to do that in these leagues. Or maybe you have to play a defensive special teams game and win 17-10. Like you have to be able to win all kinds of ways to be dominant in this conference. But I guess for me, since I've been talking about Oklahoma,
I mean, the last thing I was going to say about the question for us is also
go for it.
Just the play calling in the red zone. I mean, that's just obviously been a big issue with Sark and Quinn and company. So there's questions to be answered, and we went to Elite 11 and asked, another great mind in the college football world, like, do you think Sark's offense was catered because like Quinn just doesn't throw the ball, like, or do you think that's his offense? And hopefully this is this season is a season where the playbook is completely open and he was holding back plays. So that's my only other question is, was the playbook closed because Quinn just doesn't rip the ball?
Yeah, and he also can run. He's a better athlete.
And he can also run.
That is definitely a trump card. And that's also something I think, too, will...
Who was the quarterback 2017? 2016, when was it?
2016. That's when who?
When he won the Natty? Stark with Bama?
Mac Jones. That was 2020.
Oh, it was 2020?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But I do think that Arch's athletic ability will help, especially with a younger offensive line. Just being able to extend plays, scramble, kind of like help his line out by not being a statue back there. That'll help a lot as well.
I mean, I like that he's not scared, but I also don't like that he's not scared to like run at somebody.
Yeah, because I mean, we saw in the Ohio State game, he got knocked out the game, right? So it's like that is liable to happen if you're. Yes, he's a big dude. Yes, he's a talented dude, but he definitely has to protect himself and his body, because if he goes down, I think Trey Owens is a solid kid, and KJ Lacey, but like they're literally young. Like Trey Owens has only been there a year, and then KJ Lacey is literally a true freshman. It's like if Arch gets hurt, you know, that is an issue. And we've seen that since Sark has been the coach at Texas, his quarterbacks have gotten hurt. Like Hudson got hurt. Casey Thompson, I think he played fine, but I think he got hurt kind of in the year. And then obviously Quinn's been getting hurt since he's been the starter. So I'm not saying like that has anything to do with Sark. I'm just saying that he's had to have had backups play a couple of games every year. It feels like, at least.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right.
that's definitely something I think like
and we
everyone's
also
kind of
know
like,
that
I feel like glancing over there, like, oh, we have Arch, we have this, and this, but it's like if he goes down, like, how's the team? Like, obviously the talent is there to carry that QB, but like we said earlier in the SEC, if you can't game plan week to week, or if the team's like, oh, Arch is hurt, like we're gonna load the box and make
if you don't
throw.
have a full team,
Like-
you're done for.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, and then we also know that once you get to college, them stars are gone. So even though they're highly recruited,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone in
nothing
the
in
SEC,
college.
for the most part, is finishing top 25 in recruiting. Everyone in the SEC has blue chips on their roster. Maybe not as much as some, or maybe not as many super blue chips as some, but the rosters are still talented, and the coaches are all, the best. So, like I said, I mean, you can't take no games for granted. Now you got Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia. Like, that's a tough game, like, just because of him,
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, some questions for me with the Sooners is a couple, really. I want to, hopefully we stay healthy. They've been making some changes to the way they practice and do some things over there. So hopefully that stays the same. Really, offensive line, I'm really impressed from what I've been hearing. We have a lot of guys back, and then the youngsters, Fasusi and Foje, have really emerged as quality depth backup guys. Even both of them might potentially push for a starting job in fall camp. So that's good to hear. And that from that front, wide receiver, we brought in a lot of guys, but we need to really see who's going to step up, especially Buckle's offense is really pass heavy, but he can adapt to his personnel. Tight end, that has been a massive question. The news is Devon Mitchell actually just recently was removed from the team. I'll say that. In hindsight, I won't go too in depth about what I know about that, but was removed from the team.
Well, I was going to ask why.
I'll tell you off camera. But
Is it good or bad? Well, obviously it's never bad.
No, it's
when you
not
get
bad.
removed,
Like, he's great. Like, shout out to some people I know who have a relationship with him. Like he's great. But just sound like both parties has moved on type deal. And that's the thing too. There's a lot of processing going on. Like, don't be surprised if you don't keep it with college football as often and you see players enter the portal from your team that you just would not expect, because now the rosters are smaller. They have to crunch the numbers down and make cuts. But yeah, tight end, that was a guy I expected to maybe start this year because of how highly rated he was out of high school, and now he's gone. So tight end has been a position since really Braden Willis has been very unproductive. We moved Jaron Kanek from linebacker to tight end, and he's a natural offensive guy. So I think he could be good at that position, but he's also not tall. He's more of like a fullback, H-back, kind of like a Dimitri Flowers or Jeremiah Hall type guy. So I think he could be good in that spot, but we'll have to see. And then no question on defense. I think we really are solid across the board. Obviously, you lose Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman, but I think our safeties, Brandon Hall's been crushing it. We have a ton of depth there. And then linebacker, we have a ton of depth there. And I think actually we will be better because I think we're going to have a little bit more athleticism at linebacker, like just running coverage, things like that. And we brought in Kendall Daniels and some other guys. But really something that has been bothering me, and it's on one of the coaches, is running back rotation. DeMarco Murray, since he's been our coach recently, just the last couple of years, the rotation has been bad. Like, you'll have a guy get some carries and have explosive plays, and then you don't see them. And they're like, we're going to ride with the hot hand. And then you'll have a guy that's not doing anything, but he's still getting carries. So it's like when you have, and then we saw Xavier Robinson bursted onto the scene really against Maine, but he popped off against Alabama, ran for like 130 in Alabama, carried us against Missouri. He was a true freshman last year, and this was a dude that didn't see playing time till Maine, and then you burn his red shirt in the last 4 games because he got one necessary snap against Texas. It's just like stuff like that you got to manage better. I think Taylor Tatum has potential to be a great player, a great stud player, but he's playing baseball, 2-sport athlete. So it's like how much more reps is he actually getting in football? And he had a fumbling issue. Like, he's a very talented running back. He was the number 1 running back in his class, but you can't fumble. If you fumble, you're not going to play. Javonte Barnes, good running back. I think the offensive line limited him, but he's been kind of banged up. He doesn't really seem as explosive. And then you have Gavin Sawchuk, a running back who we all thought was going to be good. I remember Carlos was betting on some of his parlays. He was non-existent. He wasn't even a factor last season. And he ran for 700 yards in 7 games in 2022.
And one of those receivers.
Farouk.
Yeah.
He caught a deep ball
No,
and he
not
broke
Farouk.
his foot on the deep ball because it was like a 46-yard. Deion Burks? No. Yeah, because
Who was the one that came in? Who was the one that was like off and on hurt? Like he came in against Tennessee on kickoff.
Deion Burks.
I don't remember. He came on.
Deion Burks.
He came on there and kickoff on the first kickoff, and then he was out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and then Nick Anderson. Remember that? Remember he came in for one play and they didn't refund you?
That's what it was.
Yeah, they didn't refund you.
Yeah,
that was insane. Dude ran one snap and
it was literally kickoff.
And Prize Picks did not reward my boy Carlos with the reboot, but yeah, that's kind of I just want the rotation to be better. I think we have good running backs. You know, I don't know if we have like anybody like that has superstar potential besides Amari or Xavier Robinson, because based off what I saw in limited time as a true freshman, and he falls forward every time, and he's an Oklahoma kid. Like, I just think kids like that, it means a little bit more to them. But regardless, like, we just need to have I don't want to be like overthinking running back. Like, it's so important to be able to run the football, and that's just something that's been on the coach more so than the players. Like, I can't be mad at these players for not getting into a rhythm when they're getting 2 carries a game and they're not being rotated properly. Like, Texas does a great job with rotating their backs. Wisner, Cedric Baxter when he's healthy.
And also being receiving backs.
You know, and utilizing them. Even if they're not getting carries, they get touches. And in the pass game, things like that, like, they're in the game. So, like, just use the backs more, and I think we'll be a lot better. But all in all, I feel pretty good about the team. I feel pretty optimistic. The big challenge is us playing Michigan week 2, which I'm glad we played them early, because that will show me really in the areas of weakness.
Where is it?
We're home. In the areas of weakness, how much better? What would you say?
It's not the same. I think it's better if you're on the road.
I agree. But I think more so just like at least against their line of scrimmage. Michigan's going to be known to be a physical, nasty line of scrimmage. That was a team that didn't have much life at all offensively, and they still cranked out a 8-5 season, beating Alabama in their bowl game. And they got Bryce Underwood, their kid that's like $10 million QB. So that's going to be a team that's going to be, I'm not going to say like we shouldn't be favored in that game. Like I like my chances with Brent Venables against a freshman quarterback, especially at home with the defense he's returning. But that's still a team that you can really see if we are back to where we need to be or not, especially at the line of scrimmage. If we're able to push him around, move the football and things like that, then I'll feel pretty good about the SEC, because Michigan has a SEC front, if we're being honest. So, but yeah, that's my kind of my thoughts on that. Early look at the schedule. I had a question on here. What is a sleeper game on Texas's schedule that like kind of like excites you or worries you? I'm curious. I know you have Arkansas at home, A&M at home. You play Ohio State,
None of
Texas.
our sleeper games. I don't think we have a sleeper game.
You have nobody that
The only game that
Florida
scares me is obviously I don't think any SEC game's a sleeper game.
Okay, you think everyone's
Anybody can in nowadays college football, anybody can beat anybody.
you can get beat any week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think our
Go to Kentucky.
biggest
Ooh,
test.
that could be one. They're not good, but like they're a scrappy team.
Oh.
It's far.
I mean, yeah, look at Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, even when
Yeah.
Stetson was
And they beat-
obviously
and they beat
Georgia
Ole
was
Miss
kind of like up
last
and
year.
down, but yeah, and they beat Ole Miss
On
so
the roads.
They've always played tough, like
Yeah.
tough, very, very, very tough. I I think we have a lot of like scary games, but I don't think anything's a sleeper game. Like, Ohio State's a scary game, obviously playing up there. At Georgia, at Florida. I think at Georgia, at Florida, at Ohio State. That would
Red River. But
that's already. That's every year. You know, we have to deal with that every year. So I don't think it's like A&M different. A&M's at home. You know, so we play pretty well at home.
Arkansas.
We play them at home.
Yeah.
We play well at home. Like
y'all go to Mississippi State.
We do go to Mississippi State, and I did like their quarterback last year, that black dude.
Yeah, but he's gone.
Van Braun.
Yeah, he went to LSU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he transferred to LSU, and he's going to back up Garrett Nussmeier, which I didn't really think makes a lot of sense.
That does not make any sense unless you just did it like Jeff Levy.
Yeah, Jeff Levy brought someone else in, but then Blake Shapen came back, and I was like, but he probably was like, I played well here, I'm going to leave. Maybe he just thinks.
Yeah, but
maybe he's like,
you
cool.
played well enough for you to get a starting spot somewhere else.
But maybe he was just like, I want to go to LSU.
He could have gone to Kentucky.
Yeah.
He ain't could have been starting quarterback.
But then he might just be looking at the situation. He's like,
he also could have fought. He could have got.
I'm going to have good receivers here.
He could have also maybe won the QB battle against Shapen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe
I thought he did really well.
Maybe he wants to.
Because they even played at Tennessee very well.
And Georgia. He played well against them on the road.
And A&M.
Yeah.
That one was at home, but
yeah,
they played A&M well. And then they played Tennessee well.
Yeah.
The offense didn't play well, but like that's a team that
he's solid.
That can play well. But I just think all the big away games. Obviously at Mississippi State's not scary, but like it's still a road game, and obviously we're Texas and all over you, and we're the new kids on the block, so nobody's gonna like us.
Yeah, now the teams we played last year at home, we have to go to their place, and then
so I think Ohio State, Georgia, Florida. Obviously Mississippi State's the least I'm worried about.
Yeah,
watch them make the upset, but
yeah,
I personally don't think this is a sleeper game because I think any team in the SEC can beat anybody at any given time. Arkansas was good enough too, or the bottom teams last year.
Us, Arkansas,
and y'all beat Alabama.
Yeah, smacked them too with no passing attack. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
it's like
Arkansas was good enough to beat anybody.
Yeah, they played y'all to the wire. Really, the game was close.
Vanderbilt
played y'all tough,
and they beat Alabama.
Yeah. They were up on Tennessee. They had Tennessee kind of struggling until they got hot at the end of the game.
Yep.
Kentucky almost beat Tennessee last year on the road.
So
and Florida almost beat them last year too.
Florida was a bottom tier team, but they played Kentucky well.
They beat LSU.
They beat LSU
and Ole Miss.
Yeah. so I don't think.
And they might have beat Georgia if that Lagway didn't get hurt.
I don't think there's a sleeper game in the SEC. I think all the games anybody can beat anybody.
No,
That's
I agree.
Just how it is.
I agree. Yeah, I would say for us, we have, by a lot of experts, the hardest schedule in college football. So I would look at it as like Carlos is saying, nobody is a sleeper. We can't, especially us. This is like a do or die year for us, I think, and we can't take a lot of people.
Sure, do or die.
We can't take people for granted. I think the biggest game,
BV.
Well, not biggest game. This is a sleeper. Biggest game on our schedule, in my opinion, is the Michigan game. For obvious reasons, because if you win that game, you get momentum, and then I think you also feel good about where you're at as a program, and that can kind of carry you through the rest of the year. And I think you really, if we're going to have a chance of making the playoffs, I think we have to start 5-0 because our schedule is so difficult. We play Texas, then we start playing everyone. So
at Bama,
at Tennessee,
at Tennessee game is going to be.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about them. They lost everything on offense, and I'm not concerned
but
about
their defense is.
They lost everything there too.
That might be the hardest place to play in the SEC.
They aren't going to be as good as people think, bro. Like they're going to fall off a little bit. They're probably like 8 games.
That might be the hardest place to play.
And Nico
in the SEC.
has to just show me
for sure. But I think this year was the year for him to.
Yeah.
I said it all last year. I think
we beat them there before.
I think this year, but it's a completely different Tennessee team than when y'all played them.
They were ranked still.
I said all last year. I think Nico's going to be phenomenal.
And honestly, they couldn't even they literally could not move the ball. The only reason they won that game is because Jackson Arnold gave them the game. If we have any kind of offense, I think we beat them.
Yeah, but y'all were at home. Y'all are going to Tennessee.
I'm not concerned about that.
It's
Because
harder to play at Tennessee than it is at Norman.
It's the defense. The defense is gonna. The defense travels. Like you don't need. They're fine.
Their
The defense,
stadium's borderline breaking.
yeah, they're not gonna be loud when the offense is on the field. The defense is gonna be on the field, and defense has shut them down. With Tennessee having, what
They're
they
gonna be
have.
loud when
Tennessee
y'all's offense is on the field. That's what I'm
not
saying.
concerned though, because
We'll see.
I think our offense took a step up. Tennessee lost defense and offense, and we.
I'm
didn't,
just
we
saying.
didn't lose
I'm not
anything.
saying y'all are gonna lose.
No.
I'm saying it's gonna be tough to play
I know
there.
it's gonna be tough. I'm just trying to think of a
Very
game that's gonna be
tough.
South Carolina is a sleeper game for me.
That's not a sleeper game. That game's hard.
Well, I know, but like if you look at our schedule, that is like probably
At South Carolina,
that's the one that's getting glanced over because you got.
there's no way.
Yeah, because
we're going. Is Rocket back?
No, but you got it's getting glanced over. If you look at the schedule, Tennessee at Alabama, South Carolina is the one you're just like.
How can you glance over a team that was borderline a playoff team last year?
But yeah, all in all, I think South Carolina is probably the sleeper game. Maybe actually, I will say Auburn. The only reason I'll say Auburn is because the media has been glazing.
Yeah, but they go.
I know.
y'all.
I'm not worried, but like the media has been glazing them, and then it's like Jackson Arnold's coming back. I don't even know if he's finna start, bro. I've been seeing this Deuce. Now I've been seeing Deuce Knight clips on Instagram and Twitter that number or 5-star QB they got, and I'm like, is he even gonna start?
There's no way he doesn't start.
I know. I think he does start, but I also could see him like
There's no way he loses the job.
he loses the
You
job
don't-
if
you
he does
don't-
what he does.
For sure, if he plays the way he plays, but you don't go to a school not him. You don't go to a school without
For sure,
knowing you're number one.
for sure.
Like
And they,
you're going to be the starter.
and they have weapons. Is it recording? Okay, and they have weapons. You know, they have a ton of weapons. They have
Freshmen, so they had freshmen last year that
Coleman,
were great.
Cam Coleman last year. They got some other receivers. They got old boy from. Did you watch that Georgia game
Georgia Tech, Georgia.
this year?
Yeah, that game was
that
crazy.
receiver that was
It was
going
like
going crazy
overtime.
from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
He transferred to Auburn. So they got some weapons, and Hugh Freeze is an offensive coach. Now we'll see, but we'll see with them. But all right. So got a couple of questions on here. How do you feel about teams canceling spring games? And are you for those joint practices that Coach Prime offered to potentially do in the future, maybe?
I mean, I'm fine with people canceling spring games. I mean, in my opinion, spring games are pointless. Like the actual game itself, because it's really offensive catered. I feel like in a way. I mean, it's just good for the players to go out there and hit somebody, you know.
I agree.
But like you do that in practice already. So I don't know. I'm for like canceling spring games. Now, as far as joint practices, I don't know. I don't know how much you want to make it like the NFL.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, they're cool, I guess.
I think
Like,
it's
how
like-
much
I
you
like
want to
the-
make it like
I
the
do-
NFL?
I do like the OTA model aspect of it. Like, you know, it's like OTAs or kind of like, I do like the idea of bringing in this is what they should do really. And I've heard this idea from multiple people, but like maybe for example, Texas, y'all bring in a Texas State, or if you not playing UTSA that year, a school that's in the group of 5 that's close by. Maybe you bring them in for like 2 days or so, or 3 days or so. Maybe 2 of those days is a combined practice. So where you practice individually, you do your one-on-ones, your individual stuff. Then you come together for like 1-on-1, 7-on-7 team periods. And then you do that for 2 days. And then you have a scrimmage where you can kind of control the reps as a coach. If I'm Sark, I'm like, you know, maybe Arch, you get 1 series, or the ones you get 1 series. And then like kind of the depth guys or guys battling for spots, you're going to play most of this scrimmage to see how you stack up against someone else. Because I do think when you practice against the same people over and over again, you know it too. When you were playing, like you kind of know what someone's going to do. You kind of know their tendencies. You kind of know like they're good at this, or they do this a certain way. So it is like a good like practice for you. I mean, even when we were in high school, like we would scrimmage a school below like Hutto all the time because they were 5A or 4A. So we would do that. But I do like the idea of it if you can kind of do it that way. Or for Oklahoma, maybe Tulsa, or like a North Texas because they're close. Like maybe schools like that, to where it's an opportunity for the smaller schools really to like see how they stack up. And maybe there's some guys that have aspirations of leaving their school they're at or whatever. You can kind of like, I think that it could be beneficial, and I think it would be more engaging because we love college football. So me and you like are constantly going to watch spring games. But like, if I saw a Texas State versus Texas scrimmage in the spring, I'm more enticed to be like, I'm gonna turn that on, like as opposed to, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's, but I mean, if I'd rather them do that than cancel. But I understand why teams are canceling because of poaching and injuries and stuff like that. But,
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is going to be injuries mainly. You can't really poach anything from a spring game.
That's what, bro. That's what Matt Rule that's what they're saying.
That's what is said. But like, you see how spring games are ran. Like, how can you poach somebody off of a Manila offense?
Yeah,
you run them as simple as plays.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you have one trick play here and there just for like a crowd excitement and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, nothing's like really in depth.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I could rock with the scrimmage thing, but I think I don't know. I think the biggest thing with that is still injury.
Yeah, I agree. So Deion Sanders got a contract extension at Colorado. I think it was like 5 years, 50 or 60 million or something
stupid.
Like I think he's making like 10 a year or 11 a year. But I saw this report came out. I don't know off the top of my head. I think he is one of the top 6 highest paid coaches in the game. I think it's like him, Ryan Day, Sark, Dan Lanning, and like Kirby Smart. I think maybe Dabo's in there or someone like that. But I think that's it. Like, he's in like a select list of like 6 or 7 coaches that are double-digit salary figure earners a year in the millions. So I had a question for you. One, I'll say this on camera. Me and some ex people we used to work with, we had a clip where we went viral talking about Colorado and kind of predicting how we thought they were going to do and seeing how they were going to do. And honestly, like, it wasn't like egregiously what we were saying. We looked at the schedule. We looked at how they looked last year. We genuinely thought that they were going to struggle in the Big 12. We thought Utah would be a lot better. We thought Oklahoma State would be a lot better. Some of these teams that they had to play. And sure enough, they were one of the best teams in the Big 12 last year. So kudos to them. And then obviously, Travis Hunter won the Heisman. Shedeur probably going to get drafted in the top 5, top 10. So if I were to tell you when Deion got this job at Colorado, and in the 3 years he's been there, he's won probably he's been there 2 years only.
13 games?
He's won 13 games or so. He has a Heisman winner, and he went to a bowl game. Would you count that as successful for Colorado for where they were? And then also with him getting an extension and now there's kind of stability there, can they win a national title or like at least make it to the playoff and compete for one?
To answer your first question, yes, I'm going to say that's successful. I mean, look at Colorado since leaving the Big 12 before coming back, like when they're in the Big 10 or Pac-12. Pac-12. Yeah. Who were they? Like they didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Now, last year in the Pac-12, first year in the Big 10, last year in the Pac-12, like you said, like looking at the season prior, the Pac-12 is not a great conference. Yeah. And they struggled in that. Mm-hmm. And they got scored on game in and game out. So like, all right, going into the Big 12 season where the defenses are a little bit better, but the offenses are for sure better, in my opinion. They're like, okay, well, the same thing's going to happen again. Like, you got to play that week in and week out. Mm-hmm. And then they come in and they almost make a playoff push. They controlled their own destiny, and unfortunately, they ended up losing. But they controlled their own destiny, lost, and they got out the playoffs. And they made a bowl game, and they got absolutely. I was like, wait, they win? I was like, no, they got demolished in the bowl game,
smacked.
But they still made a bowl game, still had a Heisman winner. You got the first round draft picks. I mean, I don't know how much what that means, considering that those players were going to be first round draft picks no matter who they played for, what team they were on, or who their coach was. But I mean, you had first round draft picks. And now going forward, you just got a quarterback that would never even blink at going to Colorado.
Yeah.
So
Julian Lewis. Yeah. I was like, who? Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, every
you
year
got him to
he's-
decommit
he's
from
got-
USC.
He's gotten like a 5-star or borderline 5-star in both years. Like
Yeah.
kids that like he got the offensive tackle last year, and then even in the portal, like he's getting guys that are going there that like you would not think would go there.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think with going in a positive direction, you kind of have to ask yourself: is it a far-fetched idea that they do make a natty run? I don't think it's far-fetched,
Especially not in the conference.
but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think if the only way this will happen, I think, is if Deion prioritizes high school recruiting. And maybe the reason he didn't do that is because maybe he really wasn't sure how long he was going to stay at Colorado after Shadur, Travis, and Shiloh left. But since he signed that extension and got Julian Lewis, maybe Julian Lewis is the reason he signed the extension too. It's like you bring a kid in like that, you obviously commit to him. He's going to be there at least 3 years, right? So it's like, for him, he probably wanted some kind of security to know, like, if I'm going to come to Colorado and not go to Georgia or USC or wherever I could go, that you're going to be,
especially with, I mean,
that you're going to be
with
here.
Florida State struggling.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. Yeah, we thought we were like, Norvell gets fired. This is the perfect sense to bring Deion here. He played here. He will be, not only did he play here, this is Deion Sanders, who has a crazy roster. Like, if you look at his roster, he has, or coaching staff, he has Warren Sapp on the staff, Brian Leftwich on the staff, Marshall Falk on the staff. Like, and I'm probably missing people. He has like guys that if you hear these names, especially our age, you're like, we know who that is. So what I say that to say, if he were to go to Florida State, that would have been crazy because he has that blueprint of those athletes in Florida, which he already has because of who he is. But now I think if they are to, be a national title contender, if he prioritizes recruiting like we know he should, and like it's like, bro, if Deion Sanders goes in your house and he's showing up with Marshall Falk, Warren Sapp, Brian
Even if he's
Leftwich,
just showing up.
or even if he's just showing up by himself, it is hard to compete with that. I don't care who you are
Right, I mean-
as a coach. Like the only person that like is gonna have that kind of aura is like Nick Saban, really. Like walking into your locker or into your room or into your house for like a coach recruiting standpoint, So I look at it like that. It's like if he actually goes on the road and invests more time in high school, I believe he could have a top 5 recruiting class. I really do, because he has that kind of power. But he has to invest in that aspect. I think if Colorado is to compete for national titles, because they're able to, they've shown you they can get these blue chips, these high elite level 5-star athletes, but they're only bringing in like 10 high school kids a year with maybe 1 or 2 blue chips like that, as opposed if he really invested in the time and brought in 26 guys, maybe 20 of them are blue chips, and then maybe you get some transfer pieces. Because I don't think, we've seen it. I don't, like I said, with Ole Miss, like I don't think that's really sustainable. I think if you're going to win a national title, it has to be
it's
high
already
school.
been proven that they like,
And you got to bring in people like y'all did, or
NIL
Ohio State.
transfer to transfer doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah, I think you got to like supplement
I think
like y'all
you
did.
you can get a piece here and there,
Yeah.
but you can't build your whole team off of NIL.
No.
like transfers.
Yeah, because it's like there's no commodity. There's also no development. Like some of these dudes that transfer need to still be developed more.
Yeah.
And it's like, at least when you have kids in high school, you kind of can homegrown some things. You kind of can know. So like when you start winning at a high level, you start pitting in people like Texas is, like 14, 15 guys in the draft. Like you can reload that because you're recruiting at a high level, and you're also having guys in the system that know when, hey, I might come to Texas. I might not even play for 2 seasons, but I only need 1 season to go get drafted, and I'm okay with that because I know I'm getting developed here. I'm going to be playing in marquee games,
And that's
for
perfect
championships,
example. I call
all
him
that.
Goobs, but Gooby, I call him Goobs. But the guy that came in for Texas, like, who was he?
Yeah.
And then he doesn't play. It's his time. All right. He goes in, does great. Starter comes back. Somebody else gets hurt. All right. He plugs in there. He does great. Goes into the SEC championship against Georgia. Does great. So, like,
And now he's going to
somebody
be
that doesn't play, and you see him go out there,
Yeah.
and he's developed, and when it's time to shine, he goes crazy. Like, that's, especially as a young athlete, that's what you like to see, because you know that you're going to get developed when it is your time. You're going to have the skill set to go out there and compete.
Exactly. So yeah, I think if he does that, I think that he can win a natty. But I got to see the recruiting pick up. And I think he can do it. And it's not, I'm not saying he can't do it. It's more of a willingness to do it. So, but yeah, that was some news. We got a couple more news topics on here. GMs are becoming new in college football. Andrew Luck is now the GM at Stanford. He already made quick work of firing one of the coaches because I think some kind of scandal or something came out. So he fired one of the coaches. And then and Jim Nagy, who recently became Oklahoma's GM. If you guys don't know who Jim Nagy is, he was the executive senior scouting director at the Reese's Senior Bowl, which is probably the second most important thing in the draft process for especially now since they opened it up to juniors too. If you perform well there, your stock usually rises a ton. There's usually like a lot of guys that were like a Jack Betch from TCU. Like he went to the Senior Bowl, dominated. He went from being like a day 3 guy to like, early day 2 guy.
It was good though.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he was
while
solid.
at TCU,
Yeah, that boy was on Prize Picks, boy.
looking good. That's what I said. He was averaging like 80.
Yeah, his pros used to be like 96 yards a game.
He was good though.
Yeah, so it's like, people like that, right? A couple other guys, but we got him as our GM. I'm super excited about that, especially with how college football is changing. The rev share is about to be added in, and it's also just nice to bring in somebody that can handle all the NIL, handle the roster management, and the coaches can just coach and recruit and do the things that they used to do and then they're normally good at. And then you bring in a team that handles all the other nonsense in the sport that's going on, because it is a lot to manage. I could not imagine trying to prepare for a game and then you got to worry about maybe even playing a kid that might not be good or might not be ready because you want to keep them for the long haul, but they're not ready to play right now. And then there's an agent in their ear or someone in their ear like, get in the portal, because you can go here and get made. You can get thrown $200K to do this. And it's like, yeah, like I just think having like a dedicated source for that is going to be so good for the game.
Maybe. I feel like that's what athletic directors are for.
Yeah, but it's different. It's a whole university. Like this is like
for sure, but like
specific.
When you're in these, I guess for us, when you're in these higher conferences, us as an OU and Oklahoma and the rest of the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, stuff like that, like your focus is football. Yes, you look at other teams, other sports, but like that's your breadwinner is the football. Clearly for us, like, I would say like it still is athletic director. Look at Texas. I'm not even trying to brag, but
no, for sure.
Look at our softball. Look at our baseball. Look at our basketball. Not men's. We can leave that out. But tennis, like everything. We won the Directors Cup last year. Like, our athletic program is showing to like be dominant.
Yeah, and I saw.
But that starts with their athletic director hiring the correct people.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's like your GM
for sure. But I think like that's more of like a broad thing, like because y'all have Brandon Harris at Texas, who's like y'all's GM. And I think like, and he just got promoted too, so shout out to him. But
like also at the same time, your athletic director is also in charge of like not who you hire, but like they have to say yes to signing that contract.
For sure. And also too, like if they're not forward thinking, then your school's gonna suffer. I think you have to be willing to adapt. And I look at this as like teams adapting. Bringing in bringing in someone like Jim Nagy, at least for our sake. This is a guy that was a scout in the NFL for the Seahawks and the Patriots. Won a ring with the Patriots, won a ring with Seattle, and created the Senior Bowl, and then like turned that into like a key part of the draft process.
How does that help? Like,
how does that help us?
Like, think about that. How does that help y'all?
Because this is
hold on. Like you have your scouts who go to high school games, and look for players, so you put the trust in them.
Yeah.
You have your secondary coaches that aren't offense coordinators or defense coordinators, your positional coaches
that go recruit as well.
And that coach brought them in for a reason.
Yeah.
And then you got your head coach who you brought in for a reason.
Yeah.
So like, how does that help y'all? I can understand how it's up smaller schools, and like especially like I guess Stanford with Andrew Luck being Andrew Luck and him playing there.
Exactly.
But like bigger schools like y'all, us, Georgia, Alabama, like how does that doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't help them. You're just adding an extra person to the payroll.
Well, I'll tell you how it helps, because you're able to simplify things for the coaches that are having to manage a lot of that stuff, because a lot of that contract negotiation, seeing the value of these players, like the market is all saturated and messed up because you have players that aren't good getting a ton of money because of NIL or whatever, they're able to get it or whatever, and kind of messing up things. So I look at it as when you have someone like Jim Nagy, who is probably one of the most like respected people between like college and the NFL game that can bridge the gap. This is a guy that has contacts with anybody in the NFL, anybody in college, and he has his footprint everywhere, and he has scouts everywhere, so he can handcraft and build an office of additional scouts that can help him constantly scouting and evaluating talent in the portal, getting the market average of this player. Maybe if a player at Texas is going off and we have a same caliber player on like a grade scale at Oklahoma, then you kind of gauge like, this is how much money we got to set aside for him in the spring because he's going to negotiate this. You can kind of prepare and do certain things like that, more organization. And then I also think when it is time to go get guys in the portal, since your job is constantly scouting, constantly evaluating talent, you can go get guys maybe for less, or go get guys that aren't even being thought of for less. Or
So do you think
create
the
additional
NIL,
like incentive based?
I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be called a GM. Maybe it should be called something else. Because like when you think of a GM, you think of somebody who runs the operations.
Yeah,
he's
but
not
maybe
running the operations. From what you're explaining to me, it sounds like he's running the NIL operations.
He's like in the scouting, basically like scouting in NIL budget and
Yeah,
facilitating.
to me, that's not a GM. A man, not a general manager, maybe a manager, but maybe it needs a new term. But
he's kind of like he's
BV
like
is the GM.
Yeah, but he's like the coach. Like he's like a Howie, I would say. Like he's gonna be like when these delinquent Eagle fans are like, go get him, Howie. Like I think Jim Nagy. I think Jim Nagy is like that guy, as in getting these guys, knowing who to get, knowing who to look at, like all that kind of stuff. And Brent can just coach. He can just focus on what he's best at instead of having to do all this stuff you have to do now in football to field a good team and to keep your team,
Yeah, but I feel like that's still too much, because then that's another guy that a coach has to instill his trust in.
Well, yeah, but it's like,
obviously in y'all's position, it's y'all got the two people that are there, Andrew Luck and Nagy. Like,
we got
two phenomenal guys.
We
but
got
like
the cream
think
of the
about
crop.
the whole
But like
other 130 FBS teams that got to do that.
If they want to, though, you also have the money.
But you have to make sure that is in your best interest.
Because his contract's like, I think it's like $800K, and he gets a 100
time or two is in our best interest.
100K extension. But hey, shit, we got
exactly.
we got one of those guys, bro.
That's something where you gotta that's another thing that I have to think about, and like,
yeah, but I think it's gonna be a collaborative effort. I think it's not like a
for sure.
Like, I think he sees this as a great opportunity to,
and maybe you don't even get a football guy. You get like somebody who just as successful at running businesses. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was initially who was helping us out. We had one of the executives from AT&T that was like helping set up processes and stuff. CEO, ex-CEO or something like that. But last but not least, early favorites going into 2025 college football season. I'm just gonna name a couple.
Answered that already. I thought of another one actually.
Give me a sleeper then, because I feel like we all kind of know like who's
your. I mean.
My favorites are going to be like Penn State because they returned everyone. Ohio State.
It's the same thing though. Like
Texas, Georgia.
Clemson has to prove it to me.
Clemson.
I mean, not Clemson. Penn State has to prove it to me.
I mean, they almost
okay,
went
but
to
look
the
who
Natty.
they played. And when they played somebody good, what happened?
They shit the bed. But
but that's what they do.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I'm just looking at on paper, returning your quarterback, returning
for sure,
both running
but
backs.
Penn State has done that before in the past.
But I also look at the rest of college football. Like the rest of college football is also like they like return like key components, and everyone else is kind of mysteries. We expect them to be good because these teams have talent and they've recruited well and yada yada yada. But Penn State, it's like,
but I still think they're going to be the same.
We've seen those players.
Little brother to the Ohio State, to the Michigan.
But I think maybe something's changed. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like I said, I agree with you. They do have to show us.
I'm not going to say that they're favorites to win it. Me personally, I'm not going to say that they're favorites to win a natty. They're favorites to make the playoffs, but not like win a natty.
Okay, well, if I think a team that could be,
I think a favorite team to win a natty could be Clemson.
I mean, they should like Dabo and salute to him because this is a dude who was not using the portal, and I think he took like 3 guys this past or 4 guys this past thing. But dude, Clemson is still recruiting like crazy, still like top 10 classes, and they have a QB who's been there a long time, and they're in an easy conference for the most part. Like Miami, like they got Carson Beck. I think he's a downgrade from Cam Ward, and
For sure.
And then you got like, we'll see what Florida State. They got old boy from Boise State, Thomas, or from Boston College, Tom, the small dude, the QB. He's
the one that quit on his team. Was that him?
No, was that maybe? I don't know. That was the one that he's like small, Thomas.
Yeah, that was the one who quit on his team. No,
no, I don't think so.
Didn't the coach bench him and he didn't want to go back in or something?
Nah, I think he played. I think he just left because Bill O'Brien was his Boston College's coach.
I know, but I'm pretty sure somebody wants something.
Then you have
I don't know. Let's go back and look.
like who like SMU. Like that's the only other team
That's
like
not a
could
sleeper
challenge
team.
him. But like, I mean,
obviously they're on the come up. But
I'm gonna say Florida.
for your sleeper team,
Yeah, because I think if they can,
if it's a sleeper team, I have to.
I think Florida, all they have to do is get one upset win, and they'll make the playoffs, either against y'all or Georgia.
For a sleeper team, I have to say it.
Who?
You can say it for me. I ain't gonna say it.
Who? Us? A&M. That like I gotta just see it.
Yeah,
they're
like look,
4-M
like,
until further notice.
But the thing is, like, this is the best quarterback they've had in a while, in my opinion. He's another young guy who
they
just
also
kind of got thrown in.
Yeah.
And he's got all this experience.
They also have talent out the ass.
And that's what I was going to say. Look at what they did in the portal.
Yeah, and the way they recruit.
They got way better receivers than what they had.
Bro, they were getting everyone. I was like, why does all these people want to go to A&M?
So that's the $1 million question to ask every day.
But Micah Hudson is in the portal again, so.
Oh, he's going back to Tech. But even without, like, him.
That low-key, that's a team that's been going crazy. Talk about a team that's been going crazy. Yes, bro. Like, everybody that's entered, they've got somehow. But they also...
because they got money.
They have that dude who his name's like something Eagle. There's his nickname. He sold like his 4th business for like $4 billion. So
and he gives it all to Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the guy who wants to just see see a team in his area win.
Yeah,
I don't blame him like shit.
Like, Mr. Nike.
Oh yeah, Phil Knight blank check for Dan Lanning.
Yeah,
making sure he can get it.
I
done.
mean, it's just obviously they have to show us, but like they literally dominated the portal.
Yeah, they did.
Their
went crazy.
weak spot was the receivers.
I think they were number 1.
Think so. They literally their weak spot was receivers and DBs, and I'm pretty sure they got both.
Yeah.
So I mean, unfortunately, I have to say them. I think I'm gonna pick a way too early winner.
Who's that?
And I think they finally do it. We'll see. We got to see what more comes out. But right now, I gotta go Oregon. Dante Moore, quarterback.
Then they got the Corian Moore.
They got the Corian Moore. They got good receivers still. They got a great defensive mind.
Evan Stewart stayed too.
He stayed. They got a great defensive mind coach. Like,
yeah,
they could finally do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Jim Knowles also went to Penn State as their DC from Ohio State. So, like I said, like they look dangerous, but like we said, we just gotta see it. We just gotta see it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick my way too early winner is going to be Oregon.
All right, a way too early winner is going to be. Oh my gosh! Like I said, this year is wide open.
Yeah, we thought last year was wide open.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I might go with Oregon. Their schedule is real easy too, but I'll go with that. But I'm gonna pick a team to make the playoff that didn't make it last year, and that's never made it. And I'm gonna go with Tech. I think they finally put it all together. And I think it
depends because they're losing their best player. They lost their best player.
Yeah, but they replaced they got like a really good running back from USC, like Quentin
Joyner.
Yeah,
he went to Maynard as well.
Yeah, so it's like
I thought he played linebacker.
No, I think he plays running back. I'm pretty sure because they got a running back from USC, and then they got like a ton of guys from the portal, like so many people I can't even name, and they've been recruiting decently. So I think like Tech. But the Big 12 is the Big 12, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Like dead ass, the Big 12. Like
it runs through Lubbock, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna just say Big 12 most fun conference to watch in football because literally you can
now because the Pac-12's gone.
But literally you can go into the Big 12 And I'm telling you, just flip a coin because that's how every game is. Dead ass. Like every team is basically the same. And you might have a team like Arizona State literally was picked last and they won the conference. So that just kind of shows you like the parity in their conference. Like there's really no like favorite. Like I think a lot of teams are going to be good. And we'll break down the Big 12 more in depth as we do these episodes and like have specific episodes for each conference and stuff. But
thinking about it, I feel like that's the only logical answer for a team to make the playoff that wasn't in it last year.
Or us. But we have a hard schedule.
I don't think you'll make the playoffs. It's not a bad way. It's just your schedule's insane.
I think we go 9-3 and make it. If we go 9-3, that schedule we're making it. No matter
Depends on
what.
where you lose and how you lose.
For sure. But I think if we go 9-3.
They had 3 teams go 9-3 last year, so
They didn't have our schedule though.
no. But like 3 teams went 9-3 last year,
and it depends on how you lose, like you said, because South Carolina got blown out by Ole Miss. We blew out
more
Alabama,
teams went 9-3 last year.
and then Ole Miss had a horrible loss to Kentucky. So it just depends. Like you said,
It depends on who you lose and
I think we get 9-3 or 10-2. That's what I gotta say.
So I mean, I guess A&M would be the one.
Yeah, like
Would be
they
the
just
team that
gotta
makes the
show us,
playoff
bro.
for sure.
Like,
For sure, but I'm saying
yeah.
that would be the team to make the playoff. Or I mean, that was my sleeper team, so I guess them.
yeah, I'd say them.
I mean, their
and
schedule's-
Florida, I got Florida too. It's a
Their
potential-
schedule is very easy
potential sleeper. I know Florida has a
Again.
tough schedule. They got to play.
because they already played Florida at Florida this past year. They played at Mississippi State.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I know they got y'all. No,
They got us at away. They have Arkansas and Dallas.
Bro, I swear A&M played someone crazy this year or this upcoming season in non-conference or will, but I don't think they do.
I mean, their non-conference games are stupid.
A&M plays Notre Dame this year.
At Notre Dame, that's
yeah.
the first game of the season, right?
No, this third game. They play UTSA, then Utah State, then at Notre Dame.
Where's the UTSA game at? I mean,
they're
that's
home.
still
Then they go to Notre Dame. Then they got Auburn at home, which will be tough. Mississippi State at home, which will be tough. Florida at home, which will be tough. Then they go to Arkansas. That's a neutral site. Then they go to LSU. Then they go to Missouri. Missouri's gonna be bad, I think. They got South Carolina at home, tough game. Sanford. Then they go to Texas. So they got.
I'm not saying that's a tough schedule. You get all
What?
your hard games, but Texas is at home.
They go to LSU.
Oh, at LSU.
They go to LSU. LSU should be good. They return a lot of players.
Brian got to show him. Brian got to show me. Now Brian got
They
to show
return a lot of
him.
players. They recruit well. They return both their defensive players.
You telling me the team last year wasn't a team to make a playoff run?
They've had people get hurt on defense.
Yes or no? The team they had last year, was that a team to make a playoff run?
I mean,
yes
they
or
should have
no?
made it with Jaden Daniels, but and
Okay, so
and Neighbors
Brian
and
got to
Thomas.
show me.
Yeah, he does. He does, but they have everything on paper. They have a lot of good receivers.
And Jaden Daniels is better than Grant Usmeyer.
Oh, for sure.
So
For sure. But
Brian gotta
that
show me.
defense was historically bad.
Brian got to show me.
All right. Well, that will do it for your
You're not gonna
boys.
ask that last one?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. You want to do that real quick? I don't really know too much on the case. I just know he's
I don't
suing
know.
them.
I mean, for what we're talking about, Jaden Rashada and Florida Gators and Billy Napier are actually going to trial, and it's because they pulled his NIL money, or what?
Well, I think what had happened was he had committed to Florida, was promised a certain amount. The collective didn't actually have that amount, or they didn't give it to him.
Which is crazy.
So then that's why he ended up not signing to Florida and going to Arizona State, because his whole recruitment was crazy. He was supposed to go to Miami for like $10 million. I think Florida
That was
offered
the
him-
first
yes.
quarterback. Well, that was like the first player who got the biggest.
Yeah.
Was supposed to get the
Which
biggest.
is
That was the
crazy
first year
'cause
of NIL.
He wasn't even like the number one overall recruit.
I know, that was the first year of
just, like,
NIL.
confused, but yeah, he was supposed to go to Florida or Miami. Then Florida was like, no, we'll give you $13 million. So he
Because they gave him 10, right? They're supposed to give him
Miami
10?
was supposed to
Or
give him
9,
10,
something like that.
And then he was going to go to Florida, doesn't commit there, goes to Arizona State, doesn't play, transfers from there, and goes to Georgia and sits behind Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton. Yeah. And then he enters the portal again, and now he's suing Florida. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but I also look at his like track record, and he just seems to
ain't got
like
it.
not make his decision up.
Well,
It's
not
like-
even that. You just don't got it.
true. It's like which
Because he was highly recruited.
Yeah, he was
a
highly
good quarterback
recruited.
out of coming out of high school. And then I thought he did play at Arizona State for a little bit.
he did. You're right. He did play a couple of games. Then he got hurt or something. And then Sam.
I know he played at Arizona
He
State.
definitely played a little
I think
bit.
he played the whole season.
Nah, he didn't. He got hurt.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Because why
I
did
thought he played the whole season. And that was like
I know he
their
played
best
a lot.
season since or whatever, and
Before
that
last year?
coach. Well, before last year, and that coach, like every season has gone up and up and up. And I thought it started with him.
Let me see. Maybe he did play there. That boy ugly. He said, "Look,
That boy, look, man. That's one of
bro,
those stats.
he looks old, but he's not." All right, stats. Yeah, Arizona State. He threw for 485, 4 touchdowns, and 3 picks. So
How
he
many
played
games?
like 3.
3 games.
The first 3. Oh, the first 2, and then he played in November. He started in November against Arizona.
You probably didn't want to burn the red shirt or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. So
probably.
they just played the first 2, then nothing after that. But he played. Obviously, he showed some promise to be able to go to Georgia. But
Well, yeah,
even
that's the
then,
thing. It's like
you
you
go to
get-
Georgia, you have obviously Carson Beck was the number 1, but
But it's like
you
you
couldn't
think
even be the number 2. And I don't think that number 2 was that great.
He's gonna be good. He's gonna be good.
No, I'm saying, but for like
I think he's gonna
as
be
you,
good.
but I'm saying as your track record has gone, you couldn't be number 2.
Oh, for sure.
Get recruited by Miami, get recruited by Florida.
He should have been next in
Like,
line.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But yeah, he clearly wasn't, and he clearly has other things going on, and now he's probably needing NIL money, so that's why he's
No,
suing. But I also look at it, I'm like, bro, just transfer down. Like, that's the cool thing now with this portal is like you can go transfer down, prove yourself, ball out at some small school like I don't know, Coastal
Texas
Carolina
State, you know what I'm
or
saying?
something like
Texas
that.
State. You hear me, Jaden? Texas
And then
State.
go back up a level. Like that's literally what Chandler Morris did. He went from Oklahoma to
North
TCU,
Texas,
balled out,
North
got
Texas.
hurt, went to North Texas. Now he's at Virginia for his final year. So it's like he went down. He would start in a Power 5, went to a smaller Power
Those
5.
quarterbacks do that a lot. What's his name did that too?
Who else?
That was
Tanner
at
Mordecai?
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah, Tanner Mordecai. Yeah, because I mean it's tough when you're a QB. Like if you don't play like by
Chandler Moore was supposed to be the truth.
and he was. I mean he has been good. Like he's shown us like. I mean, and even at North Texas, I think
Except
last
that
year,
one game Steve bet on.
bro, that game against Tech, jeez, bro, that man threw 3 picks in the first half. I was like, what the hell? I was like, bro, I was like, because I was like,
I thought that game was about to be a blowout,
Bro, I
because
thought-
he was putting up numbers,
bro, I thought he would at least keep it
Oh,
close,
man.
like competitive.
Bro, that game was a blowout.
Yeah,
That was hilarious,
Bro, Chandler Morris, yeah, I think, yeah, last year he threw 31 touchdowns, 12 picks, 3,774 yards. So like I'm saying, he's been putting up, and that was his best season because at TCU he threw for 50.
Imagine that being your worst game, and he still threw 31 touchdowns and 12 picks for the season.
Yeah. So like that,
4K yards basically.
that's what I'm saying. Like you don't.
That's first rounder right
You just
there.
gotta like play because at QB it's like if you're not on the field by year 2 or if you're not like poised to be the starter like an Arch or something, like you gotta move because there's only so many spots
And even then, like,
It's okay.
Even if you don't want to go like down, UCLA,
yeah, there's other schools,
Oregon State,
Purdue. There's other schools
I
that
don't know
aren't.
about Purdue, but
I'm just naming.
I
Like,
wouldn't
school-
want to go there. I'd
Yeah.
rather go to UCLA or
Well,
Oregon State.
if I'm a QB, I'm not going to the Big Ten unless I'm playing at Ohio State or
Maybe.
Oregon.
Look
or,
at Kyle McCord.
he went to Syracuse. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Wait, no, I'm thinking Illinois. Illinois played well this year.
He's all right. Yeah, he's all right, but he didn't put up no crazy numbers.
No, but they played well this year.
Yeah,
and
they're
that was
actually a team that's a dark horse by a lot of people to make the playoff because their schedule's kind of easy and they return everyone.
That to do with the I
That's
don't remember
Bill-
his first name.
that's,
Pena. Pena was a receiver.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and that's Bill Bielema or whatever his name is. Yeah, him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. It's been a while since we've been talking ball, and I've missed it personally. I know Carlos has. And there's a lot going on, man. Like we said, there's I think 112 days till at least Oklahoma's first game till kickoff. I don't think they're having a week 0 this year either.
No, y'all are probably on pay-per-view because they need the money.
We are. We're not. We don't.
See,
need
look,
money.
you already go ahead finish that first sentence. We're what? We're on what?
We're on ESPN Plus because we moved over to there because they gave us a bag.
Yeah, I need the money.
Yeah. No, we don't need the money.
That's
at
why.
all.
That,
That's why we have
That's
money
why
to
we
hire
couldn't.
Jim
That's why
Nagy.
Texas couldn't. That's why y'all hired him. That's where your money went. Y'all had to sign a bag just to pay somebody.
No, relax.
Imagine.
That's not why we have.
Imagine.
We have
Like,
plenty.
what?
We have plenty of money. Trust.
What?
Trust that. Ask Miami about them trying to outbid us for material. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to go to Miami, but that's just me. But yeah, no, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, I ain't talked football on camera in a minute.
Yeah, we got a lot. We also have a lot of ideas. I think we're gonna bring Cam's Corner. We just got to figure out how we're gonna do that. We're gonna do reactions. We're gonna do some tier list videos, some shorts. Hopefully we get more people involved. I'd like to have some guests virtually, or in person if you're down to do something and to talk ball with us, even if it's just like a call-in segment. Like, we're down to record something off camera, put it in the episode, or call us on the phone, maybe put you on voicemail on the mic, whatever. So, but yeah, that'll do it for
they can Bluetooth and they hear like they did at whatchamacallit.
Yeah, I know we gotta figure out how to do that. But that'll do it for your boy Cam at Opinionated Sports, and I'll see you guys next episode.
Well, you already know what it is. Welcome.
Boomer.